The sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows stretched across Willow Creek Cemetery. John Clark, eyes red, placed a single white rose on Daisy's fresh grave.
"Sleep peacefully, my love," he whispered, voice thick with grief. "Until we meet again."
John lingered, the weight of his loss heavy on his chest. He couldn't bear to leave her there alone, but the fading light forced him away. As he walked away, a lone crow cawed from a gnarled oak tree. John shuddered. He hadn't believed in omens before, but tonight everything felt different. The moon, a pale sliver in the night sky, cast long, distorted shadows over the tombstones. A twig snapped in the distance, the only sound besides the chirping crickets. A figure, shrouded in darkness, crept among the graves. This was Jake, a man driven by desperation and greed. He carried a small shovel and a sack that hung heavy at his side. Tonight, business was particularly good. Willow Creek Cemetery, with its old money and extravagant displays of grief, was a gold mine. Jake reached Daisy's grave. Her burial was a simple affair, but the glint of gold on her left hand caught his eye. 2 rings, a wedding band, and an emerald-cut diamond sparkling even in the faint moonlight. He knelt, muttering a silent apology to the newly departed. Using his grimy hands, he pulled on the rings. They wouldn't budge. He cursed under his breath.
"Stubborn even in death," he grumbled.
Jake pulled out a rusty pair of shears. Section 4 awakened.
Daisy felt a searing pain in her left hand, pulling her from her slumber. She opened her eyes, confused. Darkness surrounded her. Panic set in. Where was she? She tried to sit up, but something heavy held her down. She looked down and saw a man, his face hidden by a dark cloth, tugging at something on her hand. Then she realized, with a jolt, that she was buried alive. "What do you think you're doing?" she rasped, her voice hoarse from disuse.
Section 5, a shocking revelation.
The shears clattered to the ground. Jake scrambled backward, eyes wide with terror. He had never been a religious man, but the sight before him defied all logic. "Stay back!" he screamed, scrambling to his feet.
Daisy, her white burial dress stained with dirt, lurched forward. She reached out, her hand closing around Jake's wrist with unnatural strength.
You're supposed to be dead," Jake stammered, his voice barely a whisper. He tried to pull away, but her grip was like a vice.
Section 6, homeward bound. Daisy stared at the terrified man before her. She didn't understand what had happened, but she knew one thing. She was very much alive, and this man was hurting her. She tightened her grip, feeling his pulse quicken under her fingers. He cried out, a desperate, pleading sound. Then, as quickly as it had begun, his struggles ceased. Daisy released her grip. She took a step back, her mind reeling. She didn't know what to do, where to go. Then she remembered. Home. She turned and walked away, leaving the still figure behind her.